Namaste, friends. Welcome to our energizing practice for today. And as we begin, I want to share with you all the immunity power blend that I have been making up in a 10 milliliter roller bottle with the carrier oil being fractionated coconut oil. And the essential oils I have used in it are wild orange, eucalyptus, clove, tea tree oil, and frankincense. It's very grounding and will help to support the body's 10 systems, specifically to help boost immunity. I'll put it at the heels of my hands, and then I can have my personal diffuser. I'll put it sometimes right along the sides of the neck, sometimes at the back or the base of the neck. But here it is near the lymph nodes, right behind the ears even. Once in a while I'll substitute or add oregano to the clove or instead of the clove. It's really very lovely and very effective. As we get started, bring your hands to your heart. And then open them and take a look. Notice the emotion of looking at your hands in this position, what it begins to invoke. This willingness to give, this willingness to serve and to receive and to offer and to be present and for each other. It's very endearing, a great reminder. Using some deep breathing to carry us into our practice then with this lovely aromatherapy that will re-energize and sustain us. We'll begin with these hands open. Sending the arms forward and out, elbows down and back, chest open, heart open. Exhaling to return, inhaling to find that same starting place. These arms in a mudra that continues the thought process, that thought-provoking hands that are ready. One more time. Great breath. And then twist. So with this twist today, we're going to have legs nice and wide, knees wide away from each other. But the idea in this asymmetrical twist is to begin to open up the side ribs and that deep QL, the quadratus lumborum. And so I want to start simply. I want to take the outer hand to the inner leg and lengthen to one side, reaching over the head and adding a rotation, turning the ribcage toward the ceiling. Eventually in this pose, the idea is to catch the foot. Inhale to come on up and exhale and switch. Knees nice and wide. The toes in this dorsiflexed position, making it a point not to turn out or in or allow the habits that keep us from being present or practicing with intelligence. So here we are, the side body bend, the resistance of the arm to the leg. Eventually the idea here is to turn the palm up and to catch the inside of the foot with this external rotation of the shoulder. And then to reach over the head, aiming to catch the outside of the foot. There's a reason they call it a practice. Every day is different. Inhale to open and exhale and sit, feet to together in Baddha Konasana. Bound angle pose. Sit nice and wide. Spread the collarbones. Come into a little bit of a fold. Use your elbows well into the legs so that they help with this pressing down and out, inviting the inner thighs to release. And the front spine to lengthen. Very nice. One more breath. Ribs far away from the hips. Feet are on into each other and into the floor. These small lines of energy that keep us with extension. So now, we're going to come to standing practice and get in a few more poses that will perhaps boost the energy. And we will start with cat and cow as our transition, rounding, drawing the navel to the spine, this deep exhalation, inhaling, coming through to a flat back. Planting the toes and coming to lift the knees just that little bit. A little bit of core work, rolling the shoulders open, keeping the sides of the neck long. And then into that downward facing dog. Here I have a short dog pose. We'll walk the hands to the feet and swing up and sit into that chair-like pose, Utkatasana. And then hands together to the outer knee. So what I want to do while I'm here, sliding down any amount, is to not let the knees cave or the pelvis swing to one side, but to keep the foundation neutral. And let the upper body turn on the axis of the spine. As we slide on down, we resist. Everyone finds their own place in it. In this pose called a noose, where we eventually reach around the body to catch the hands. But for now, one place to work on using the leverage of the elbow against the outer knee is as we hook to invite the continued rotation of the shoulder. Hands pressing together, keep us from collapsing where we are contracting. Inhale, come back into Utkatasana. We can really feel the power of the legs. Inhale, give your body a break. And then you'll want to do that on the other side. I'm going to turn just so that you can see a little bit more of what I am doing. So as I would begin here, hands together. And it could be just from this position, a little bit of a resistance. But as you get your bearings and understand yourself in this pose, sliding down to add more fold and twist, be careful that you're not going to swing out and that you find what is within your means, reaching the sitting bones back, rooting the inner heels, lifting the arches of the feet, and turning on the axis of the spine. Utkatasana builds the power of the legs, and it requires the power of the legs. So now, combining a little bit of eagle practice to our warrior one with some challenging core work. At first, we are going to step one leg forward, the other leg back, and I'm going to aim to do it turned to the side. Starting with the right leg forward and the left leg back. The right elbow crossed over the left. The pelvis square with the direction you are facing. The legs rooted, inviting eagle arm work and some of the back bend of warrior one to give us a little bit of an interesting combination. I'm going to return to this place and in between come into eagle pose. It could be ever so simple as to prop the foot up. I can sit into the pose. I can wrap the legs. But regardless, I want a little bit of core work. So here we go. I'm going to curl and return. And again, curl and return. Stepping the outside leg bend back, returning to that wonderful back bend that Warrior One allows us, taking the arms then wide to have some opposing action, and then revolving to the other side using Goddess pose. Imagining a resistance and working to stay open. Same idea, other side. Now my left leg is the front leg, and the left elbow is on top. And an interesting constant between the two, Eagle Pose, Garudasana, and Warrior One, Virabhadrasana 1, is this resolve to create length through the torso to lift the ribs away from the hips. So you can explore the back bend, remembering to breathe fully and deeply. And then to come into that propped up position, one foot propped up. And if that is your place in this pose today, this is great work. Ankle to the knee gives us yet another option in Eagle Pose. Wrapping the leg is a little bit more of a challenge. Any of those 3 options will do. And then adding this curling action, elbows toward the knees, returning to maintain length through the torso. And again, remembering that we are not wanting to collapse where we are contracting. Step the leg well back. Find perhaps a little bit more mobility in that back bend. Warrior One can always be with the arms lifted, hands clasped to access a little bit more lift of the ribcage. And the same idea of elbows wide, feet turned out, Goddess pose. And then a small twist. A recovery that again is going to bring us back to the QL, the long, deep muscles of the core. Bringing one shoulder forward and the other one back. And with repetition, whether the feet are turned out or more parallel, just explore. Where do you have more freedom to move from? What are the holding patterns? Where does the breath go? As you create space. So returning to a position of symmetry now, just feel. You might feel longer with a sense of lift through the chest and ribcage, strong in the legs, with this great sense of readiness for what is in store for today. I hope you are off to a great day. Namaste, friends.